Let me tell you about a client of mine who created something recently. It came together fast and it felt light, and in her words, it was actually fun to make. She didn't overthink it, she didn't torture herself just to go through it, and she didn't spiral into a 6 month existential crisis for it. It just worked. It just kind of popped out of her, and for a moment, she felt proud of it. Applause at this point. This could be the end of the story. But then the doubt crept in. And she said, I don't know if I can share this. It came out somewhat too easily. Yes, my friends love it, but out there in the real world, people are going to think I am superficial. And just like that, all her confidence was gone. The result of her work stayed the same. It was the same piece of work that made her proud just a moment ago. It's a piece of art she loved creating, period. But because the joy she felt making it didn't survive the idea of being judged, her feelings overpowered reality. And unfortunately, I see this all the time, especially with smart and emotionally deep people who have spent years trying to be taken seriously. There's this belief in the background, it's quiet but kind of persistent, that if something comes through easily, it must be missing something important. That lightness equals lack, and that fun means shallow, and that joy means you have probably overlooked something essential. And so they bury the very thing that might have reached someone. They hide their work that could actually make someone else happy and enjoy themselves. As in, if it's not the next Dostoevsky, it doesn't count. So allow me today to speak to that part of you, the one that still secretly believes, if I didn't suffer for it, it probably doesn't matter. And if it doesn't matter, then maybe I don't matter either. Because this isn't about creative blocks or imposter syndrome. It goes deeper than that. This is about how shame gets dressed up as artistic integrity. It's about how the need to be taken seriously ends up just suffocating what's actually honest. So there's this very old story, always the same story. And some of us were handed it directly and others just absorbed it by osmosis. But the story goes, if you want to make something meaningful, you have to suffer for it. You have to earn it, and you have to bleed for it, and you have to justify it. And if you don't suffer for it, if it just comes easily to you, then you didn't earn it. That's what the voice says, isn't it? It tells you that your ease is probably just laziness, that your joy can't be taken serious, that if it felt right, it must be shallow. You must be shallow. You didn't bleed, so you don't belong. You are not real. You are not deep enough. You are not enough. Full stop. That's the same old voice all the time. And maybe that voice kept you going once. And maybe it helped you push through when things were hard and still mattered. But now, it's just keeping you afraid of your own clarity. It stops you from actually playing. It dims you and puts you in a box of an invisible law of how you have to be perceived. Because if you're a grown adult with a brain, a degree, a trauma CV, or just a deep need to be taken seriously, then you have been trained to prove everything. You have to prove that you even exist, that you have the right to exist. You're not here to enjoy it. You're not here to play. But playing is what creativity needs. Here's what I have learned after years of doing deep emotional work with my creative clients. The ease is often where the truth lives. What you love, what you like, doesn't have to be defended or justified. But we have been trained not to trust it, because ease isn't rewarded. The struggle is rewarded. The work is. If you tell someone you have spent 2 years working on something and it nearly broke you, then they respect you. But if you tell them you made it in a weekend and loved every second of doing it, they smile politely and assume it's a hobby. Even if the work ends up being better. And over time, you start internalizing that. You begin measuring the worth of what you make, not by what it is, but by what it cost you. And what a mindfuck that is. Let us untangle this sick model of thinking, because there's a difference between what comes from effort and what comes from alignment. Alignment. A little bit overused, the word, but sorry. Effort means I pushed through, I struggled, I forced, I worked despite myself. And often it also means I ignored my own boundaries. I didn't respect my downtime. I almost burned out over this. But alignment, I know, alignment means I was present, I was clear, I let the work come through the way it wanted to come. I didn't hold back, and it didn't drain me. It energized me. There's a massive difference, isn't there? And this one can keep you being focused and working on it for hours without the feeling of sucking out the life out of you. And yes, sometimes it also can feel a bit boring. Sometimes it can feel too quiet. But often it's fast. It's bam, unapologetic. It's clean, pop, and there it is. And you are surprised and overjoyed in the best case. And then, boom, we don't trust that because we have mistaken suffering for sincerity. But here's what's actually happening when something flows easily and you panic. You are no longer creating from trauma. You are no longer creating from fear. You're not trying to be impressive. You're simply being honest. And that can become terrifying, especially when it's new, because now the work is you, not the mask, not the cleverness, not the performance, not other people's imagined expectations. It's just you. And suddenly, suddenly you have something to lose. So let me offer you a few things that are more than just reframes. These are small interventions. These are, these are small interventions that I have seen shift this for people in a gentle and very subtle way. First, when it comes out easily and you feel proud of it, stop thinking about who will see it. Do not picture the critic. Do not picture the professor. Do not picture your ex or your LinkedIn network or that girl from your art class who never really liked you anyway. Instead, picture yourself at the moment when you were making it. Picture how that felt in your body. what wasn't clenched, what wasn't forced, what felt relaxed, easy. That version of you, the one who didn't need to prove anything, that's the version of who is actually worth trusting. And let's face it, you are not always the best judge of your own work after you make it, especially when shame walks into the room and starts rearranging all the furniture. Sometimes you just need to step away from the mirror and come back when you are no longer flinching at your own reflection. And second, learn to name the difference between quality and effort. Effort is not a guarantee of quality. It just means you pushed. And sometimes the most overworked thing can also be the most lifeless, worked to death kind of thing. The best work I've seen from my clients, for example, the pieces that stopped me, that moved me, that actually said something, they didn't come from agony. They came from clarity and from their creative integrity as a person and an artist. From the moment they stopped trying to sound smart and just said what they actually meant. From the moment they stopped decorating the pain and just told the truth. Just being. And that kind of work doesn't need a backstory. It doesn't need trauma credentials, if you see what I mean. It just needs to be heard. And third, and this might sting a little, ask yourself why you still think you need to suffer to be respected. Where did you learn that? Who taught you that suffering was the currency you had to pay in? Because here's what I see over and over. People are often more comfortable being seen in their pain than being seen in their joy. It's weird, isn't it? Pain, that gets taken seriously. Joy, joy, joy. Joy gets dismissed. Joy invites jealousy and envy, especially in women, especially in art, especially when you are both sad but true, still true. And yes, I honor that many people do come to joy after pain, but I don't want to imply that joy only matters because it followed pain. The joy of creating has nothing to do with the absence of depth. It's mostly the result of having gone deep and just come back lighter. What's there not to like? That's freedom and can feel incredibly liberating. So if this is you, if you are sitting on something you created with ease, something you secretly like, but you are now talking yourself out of it, let me just say this. Nope, it's not a mistake. You didn't forget to struggle and you didn't miss the point. It's just that at the moment, you're not used to trusting what's good for you. You're probably more likely used to trust what costs you. And I think it's time to change that. And I also think the work that flows through you quietly, clearly, without apology, might not be the loudest thing you have ever made, but it might just be the most you. And maybe that's what's really scary about it. At the moment. And I'll just drop it here. You don't owe your work a performance of depth. You don't owe the world your wounds as proof of your value. Sometimes the work that doesn't demand your suffering is the work that's asking for your presence instead. Where has that been? Let it be enough. Let it breathe. Just let it exist without the apology, the justification, the defense mechanism. Someone out there might need exactly what you made, precisely because it didn't cost you everything to make it. And now I want to tell you what happened with the client I mentioned at the beginning. Of course, I encouraged her to share the piece anyway, even though she doubted everything, simply because I knew it mattered to her, because it came from a part of her that had never been allowed to lead before. And she did it. She went all in. And when she said that to me, I was in tears. I was, and I still am, over the moon for her, because she chose not to abandon herself this time. That's real courage. And I really admire her for that. And that's also what will make you stronger. It's nothing to do with the applause or the likes or the followers or the awards, but the choice to stand beside something that feels honest, even when your nervous system is screaming at you to run. And yes, of course, she was scared, and she did it anyway. And if you are somewhere in that place right now, if you're sitting on something light, something joyful, something that came through without asking for your blood, I hope you will consider doing the same. And this is the kind of work I do with people, one-to-one, with those who are ready to stop overperforming and start creating from who they actually are. And hey, it can be effortless and joyful and fun. And you deserve every step forward, even though it came easily to you. So if that's where you are, or where you want to be, you know where to find me. My door is open, and all the details are in the description box below. Thanks for watching today, and I hope it was useful for you. And if it was, like, share, subscribe, blah. Have a lovely day. Bye for now.